Hi everyone, today we're building another tank for Caridina shrimp. You're going to see the first 100 days of its life condensed down into this video. So I'm going to show you how I set this tank up, how this tank developed during this cycle, and of course once we cycled this tank we're going to add some shrimps into this aquarium. I hope it's going to be interesting, so just sit back, relax and enjoy it. This tank is identical size to the other tanks in my shrimp rack and is 37 by 37 by 40 cm deep, and it's made with a space for UGF filter at the back. In my previous setup I created a small pockets at the front of the UGF and it works great. I absolutely love it. This time I made the same thing but I simplified it slightly. I made this space triangular shape this time by simply gluing one strip of glass in the corners on either side of the UGF. Okay guys, take a look at this tank now. It looks much better now with these little spaces for the soil, and I already installed these uplifting tubes with the UGF plates. So it's ready to put some soil inside this tank, and let's do it now. And I'm choose, of course, AD Amazonia golden version. I'm a big fan of the soil. Like it, and once we put some plants inside this little area I think it's gonna look awesome. So I'm gonna use 5 grams of bacterial powder and I simply sprinkle on top of the soil. Now it's time to cycle the tank, and I'm gonna put this tank inside my shrimp rack. So guys, our tank is in place. Now let's fill it with the water. Guys, I'm just about to fill this tank with the water and I had a good idea. Why don't we cycle UGF box inside this tank at the same time? I have this tank here. I think the shrimps here is becoming a little bit less active than they used to be, and the reason for that because this tank is already like 8 months old and I want to replace one of this UGF box with brand new UGF box, and because obviously I don't want to put this UGF box inside this tank without cycling because it's going to release a lot of ammonia and it's not going to be good for shrimps. We just filled this tank with the water, and water became slightly cloudy. It's completely normal because of the bacterial powder, and all of the 3 filters work just fine. You can see the flow is quite good. I'm back with an update and we are at week 7. As you can see, the tank developing very nicely. We have plenty of algae, both cotton and dust algae, and we have a quite nice flow still. We have plenty of algae on the top of the tank, on the top of the surface. So guys, I've done 50% of water change, added a little bit bacterial powder at week 3, and I did it off camera. I didn't show it to you because it was a little bit boring. So now I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to clean the tank. I'm going to remove as much of the cotton algae as possible out of this tank, and I'm also going to move this UGF box and replace our old UGF box with the old soil here in this tank. So let's do it now. Guys, I just realized that I need to drain the water out of the tank and move this tank slightly away in order to take this box out of it. It's too big to get through that gap. Okay, so first guys, let's take this box out of this tank. Need to be very careful. I don't want to damage any shrimp. Yeah, go away please. So now we need to make sure there are no shrimps underneath of the new box when we place it in the corner. Okay, now we can bring our new box and place it in the corner, like so. So this tank cycling for 75 days. Guys, of course it's more than enough to complete the cycle, but just in case I check the ammonia level, and we of course have a 0 ammonia. So this is how our tank looking now. You can see it's a big mess. It's a lot of dust and cotton algae growing inside this tank, so it's a good time to give it a good clean. Here you go guys, I managed to remove the most part of the algae away from this tank, and now I want to clean undergravel filter at the back of the tank, and this is because at the end of the cycle it's normally become clogged with the bacterial waste, and I can feel it when I poke it with the pincet. It became very hard, so that means there's a lot of waste inside. So it's gonna be a little bit messy, but it has to be done, and it's a good idea to do the massive water change at the same time to remove all the smoke which is gonna be in the water after we clean the UGF. It is the next day and tank looks nice and clean, and it's time to add some plants into this tank, and we're gonna start to adding some plants into this little area we created. Very similar way we did the next door tank where we added Eleocharis hair grass here, and shrimps absolutely love this grass. If you take a look, the shrimps all over this grass all the time. We have plenty of babies in this tank, and this tank looking fantastic. I'm very pleased with that. So this tank gonna be very similar, but instead of adding Eleucharis, we're gonna add something else. And this is what I'm talking about, guys. Take a look at this gorgeous plant, HC Cuba carpeting plant. It's absolute my favorite plant, and I'm gonna borrow some of this plant from this tank. I don't know why I said borrow, we're not gonna give it back. Anyway, we're gonna take some of this plant from this tank and we're gonna replant it to our new tank. So let's do it now. It's absolutely beautiful plants. And I don't know, guys, if you can see a little gap is here. I have one and I have another one here. So the gappies start to breed here. It's only two babies here, and they're different generation because one is much smaller than another. I don't know. It's only one baby survived from the bunch. It's a little bit of lack of hiding space in this tank right now. That's why probably they've been eaten by fish. If I'm honest, I'm not really fan of breeding fish. I think it's better to do it with my hand. Yeah, much better. We just pulled out quite a lot of plants from this tank and we created quite a bit of mess, but it's gonna go away in an hour or two. And take a look at the amount of plants we got. I think it's even more than enough. Anyway, let's break it down into a small portion and plant them in. This is all I've got for this tank. That should be enough. Here you go, guys, take a look inside this tank. We just finished planting this lovely HC Cuba plant into these little triangular spaces, and this tank looking good already. I'm very pleased with the results so far. I know it doesn't look perfect yet because this plant needs some time to grow back and create a thick carpet, but in a month or so it's gonna look fantastic, guys. So now I want to put a little bit more plants into this area, just at the back of these triangular spaces. And here I have two new plants. I have Ratala bonsai, which looks cool to me and I very like it. And here I have Ratala walichi. I'm not sure if I'm saying it correct, but I'm gonna pop the name of these plants on the screen. Guys, I just realized I forgot to press the record button, but you can see I put this Ratala walichi to this area here at the back of this triangle, like so. And I also put some Ratala bonsai here, so you can see a few plants there. And I put another one, just a big one here. Okay, this two little triangle area done. So now let's move on to the next step and add some plants into this UGF area. So the problem with UGF filter, as you already know probably, is we cannot plant any stem plants or any root plants into this. So the only option is, like in this tank, you can see we put some coconut shell with moss, or we just put some kind of like a piece of wood with bucephalandra or with Anubis. Or another way to have a stem plants in your shrimp tank with undergravel filter is to create an area for them at the back of the tank, like for instance I made here. And guys, I love this mix of green and red stem plants here. They're growing insane. It looks like a little jungle here. I'm very pleased with this tank. We have a very healthy plants here with zero algae. We have a fancy tiger shrimps here and they are doing great. I'm waiting for them to start breeding. I know, guys, I just said you can't plant into UGF, and I planted some plants here, but it's only temporary. I'm going to replant them into different tank very shortly. By the way, if you didn't see the video on how I set this tank up, definitely check it out. But there is actually another way to put some rooted plants at the back of your tank on top of UGF, is to use some sort of containers filled with the soil. For instance, this tiny little clay pot, which I want to try to use in our new setup. And I also have a glass bubble, which I want to attach at the back of the tank like this. And then we're going to fill it with the soil and put some plants in it. I saw these glass bubbles in one of the MD fish tank video, so it's a good idea to use it. I very like it. Both of these items I got from AliExpress, and I'm going to leave a links in my description. Oh, I'm so messy, create such a mess here. So here's our pot. Let's slowly put it here in this corner. I think this is quite a good place. Maybe here, just by this pipe. Make it slightly in an angle, like so. Look more kind of realistic. This thing where we're gonna put our bubble. This bubble gonna live here, and I think it's quite a good place for this. Yeah, looking good so far. I'm pleased with that. So here you go, we have some stem plants which I want to use inside this container. This is Ludwigia Super Red. I want to use it inside this clay pot. And here I have Hydrocotyle Japan. I'm sure I said it wrong, but I'm gonna pop the name on the screen. I'm still learning the names of the plants, so it's a bit difficult for me. Here I have some left of Ratala bonsai and Ratala walichi, so I'm gonna put them inside that pots as well. So let's do it now. It's been already 5 days since we added first plants into this tank, so now let's finish with the plants. Let's add some more bucephalandra, some Phasidens moss, and then we can add some shrimps. Finally, let's do it. Take a look, this tank is absolutely stunning. This is what the perfect shrimp tank should look like. You can see that the plants have started to grow already. Here's our Ratala walichi showing us a nice colors. And take a look at this Ludwigia super red, it looks fantastic, guys. And if you look at the both tanks on this shelf, I think our new tank looks much better. It definitely was a good idea to fill the background with some stem plants. And you probably noticed that I'm trying to get rid of the fast growing mosses in my setups. I just hate trimming mosses. They're growing like a crazy. For instance, in this tank I have a flame moss at the back. I trimmed it a couple of weeks ago and it's already needs some trim again. And take a look at this green wall here. My shrimp love graze on it. And this is why I never clean the glass from the green algae inside my tanks. And guys, believe me, this is the best available food for your shrimp. Finally, we're ready to put some shrimps into our new setup. And you're probably wondering what type of shrimps I'm gonna choose for this tank. Well, I don't have my choice if I'm honest, and this is why. Remember this 90-liter tank with beautiful shrimps inside where we replaced UGF box? Well, this is it. Unfortunately, it leaked. It happened at the worst possible time when I was away on Christmas holiday. On Boxing Day, 26th of December, I checked my Wi-Fi camera in the morning. I was shocked to see my tank half empty and water running on the floor, flooding my shrimp room. Immediately, I called my friend David, who was looking after my cat and feeding my shrimp, and within an hour or so, he was already there, mopping the floor and rescuing my shrimps with his son Benjamin. Guys, they managed to save all the shrimp and my floor in the shrimp room. This is what a real friend will do for you. So instead of enjoying his Christmas at home with his family, he spent half of a day helping my shrimp. What a legend, guys. And here at the bottom of my shrimp rack I have two breeding tanks where my friend put all the shrimps. He also put all the plants from that tank which is leaked to save them. And here we have lots of Phasidens moss on koala wood, on coconut shells, some flame moss, and here we have some Phasidens moss arches. So I'm gonna use these plants for sure in my future setups, but now we have to remove all the shrimps he put here because they mix with the other shrimps. So here, for example, in this tank I have some blue balls and red balls shrimps, and now you can see lots of different pinto shrimps here because he put all the pinto shrimps in this tank. So it's not ideal, it's too many shrimps in this tank. Also, I don't want pinto shrimp mixed with the blue balls. And here my neighbor tank with the golden galaxy shrimps is supposed to be golden galaxy shrimps, but now we have some pinto shrimps because my friend also put some pinto shrimps in this tank. And guys, the good news is that these shrimps start to breed and we have plenty of babies in this tank and plenty of juveniles. We have a different generation as well, some of them very little, some of them slightly bigger. And guys, I think I tried to breed them for about 8 or 9 months without any success. Finally, they breed in this tank, and this is another reason why I want to move this pinto shrimp away from this tank as soon as possible, because I don't want them to mix with the golden galaxy shrimps. Okay guys, now let's catch all the shrimps who recently lost their home and put them in your tank. Let's do it now. Alright guys, take a look at these shrimps here in this 1 liter jar. I put them all here from both tanks, so hopefully there's not many left here. Oh, there's one there. I have to catch it in a second. I don't know how many of them here, maybe 100, 150, I don't know. It's hard to say, so many of them. Cannot count them, don't want to count them as well. It's going to take me a long time. Oh, calm down shrimps, calm down. Oh, I don't want to spook them too much. I don't want to stress them. It's a beautiful shrimps here, by the way. And you guys ask me a lot in the comments if you can mix the Caridina shrimps, and the answer is yes, you can mix without any brown shrimps like new Caridina. Okay, the next step is to acclimate the shrimps to the new tank. Let's do it. I just moved all the shrimps in this little acrylic box and take a look at them, guys. they're all stepping on each other, so there's not much space here for so many shrimps. Guys, our tank is not a shrimp tank until we're adding shrimps in it, so let's make it a shrimp tank. Wow. Here you go, the shrimps inside the tank, finally. Straight away they started to work hard to clean our tank. Shrimp eat all the time, and it's always important to have a well-established tank with biofilm and diatoms on the glass, and that's what I'm finding. On any tank I've got green or brown diatoms, or dust algae I call it, I've got much better results with Caridina shrimp. I know, it doesn't look great, and I quite often got comments from you guys telling me how to prevent algae growth in my tanks and what to do to get rid of it. Appreciate your advice, but the thing is that I don't want to get rid of it. And quite the opposite, I'm happy to see it in my Caridina tanks. I even have a video on my channel where I try to find out the best way to grow this algae. Check that out if you didn't see that. Now, because our soil is still quite new here, it releases a lot of nutrients into the water column, causing insane algae growth. And I normally don't feed the shrimps for some time, so they can clean this tank a little bit quicker. So now guys, let's leave this tank alone for a couple of weeks, and then I'll get back to you with my final update, and we will feed our shrimp for the first time in this tank. Take a look at this beautiful shrimp tank. This is definitely one of the best looking shrimp tank I ever made. You can see our plants have grown quite a bit from my last update. Here's our Rotala bonsai, and it kind of matches this little HC Cuba plant. It just looked like a bigger version. It didn't grow too much though, and it's perfect. I'm quite happy about that. I like slow growing plants. My shrimps absolutely love hanging around these plants. They like to hide inside our HC Cuba. They get inside these little gaps and they feel very safe there. And on another side we have our Rotala boliche, and it stretched quite a lot. I like this plant, but I think it's growing a little bit too fast for me, and I'm not very big fan of that. But I quite like how it closes at night and opens up in the morning. That looks cool. The rest of the plants are also looking very healthy with no algae issues. Our shrimp, by the way, doing fantastic here. They are very active and I can spot some little babies already, and it's always a good sign. I haven't fed them yet, not a single time. That's probably why we have such a clean tank here. So let's give them a snack and hopefully they can form a large shrimp ball for us. Now I'm gonna show you some macro shots of the shrimp with relaxing music. Normally most of you guys just click off when I stop talking for some reason, but some of you actually want to see the shrimp. So for those of you who are interested, please enjoy the beautiful shrimp, and thank you so much guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.